yet. Yeah, now we are back. Sorry about that. Listen, I don't know what.
Yeah, now we're back. Okay. Now we're back.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, this computer is overloaded for some reason, but I don't understand why. All right, all right. Where were we? So indeed, bishop d3 was played. Knight e3, f takes on e3 was played.
Yeah, and here before is a move for sure, which black is considering. There is as well rook takes on f3. B4 has a very logical idea to trade the bishops, to keep the a2 pawn on the rook's radar to win it in some moments, but he's opting out for rook takes on f3. He's grabbing that pawn. He's actually also at the same time attacking the pawn on e3, and he's saying, okay, wait, I don't have to push b4 immediately. I am having b4 anyway anytime soon. So here we have it. So what should David play in this position? There is some queen g2.
There's actually rook takes on g7 and queen g2. Does it work? Oh, and just as I said, I keep learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, rook g7, king g7, queen g2. It's a nice trick. I'm not sure Arjun is happy to see this. Nah, he's very unhappy to see this. A brilliant move by David Navara.
Yeah, indeed, brilliant. And queen g2. I was. That's why probably you had to play something like before instead of rook f3, and then you take the pawn, because if you play first before, trade the rooks in this position, trade the bishops in this position, and then play rook f3, there is not anymore this idea. So here bishop knight b1,
yeah,
bishop d3, queen d3, and here
actually rook d3.
Actually here was as well. So rook f3, rook g7.
Right.
Also
I can still play rook d3. Either way, I think that what Arjun is doing here, he burned a bit too many bridges, because you can't really play like that. Sometimes I understand his desire that he is a very combative player. He wants to, show that he can beat David Navara with the black color, but at the same time, he's like, burning every possible bridge to go back, right? I mean, so he sacrificed his pawn on f5, which we go here. Let's go back here. It's an interesting idea. Maybe it's a prep, etc. But the question is, was it really necessary right now, immediately, to sacrifice the second pawn, right? a5, a4, b5, bishop a6, b4, immediately forcing white to come up with very concrete solutions. And at the same time, like already I said before, David has done nothing wrong, right? I mean, he's basically forced to make the only moves.
Exactly. He's taking the pawns. He's seeing not much wrong in that, and he's taking another pawn on g7, trading the rooks, and b4 is now played. But, well, I mean, there are just so many pawns in the center for white. Like white is still up 2 pawns. So I guess knight b1 is the move we're looking at, or even knight e2.
I think knight b1.
Yeah, b1 is very safe.
Very safe. Yeah. Okay, maybe knight e2. Okay, bishop a6
so
first.
It takes on.
Okay, that's slightly unexpected.
And now takes on b2, and maybe he wants to play king b1 to just hide behind the pawn.
And also the point is that black can never leave the last rank because there's a mate in one. I think David simply calculated. Yeah, bishop c6, bishop d5 looks like a very big threat.
Yeah.
And obviously rook a6 is a mate on the board. Yeah, that's why.
That's why, I mean, bc was the only move to play.
Yeah.
And yeah, bishop b7. We have this position right now. I mean, it looks like cb should be played, but
it's just winning for white.
But it's just winning for white because there is simply no attack on the king. King is going to hide behind the opponent's pawn, which is a typical idea. Okay, maybe we're going to check the next board.
We should.
We
should. Yeah. So Erigaisi here is unfortunately for the Indian fans self-destructing, and David is just being forced to find all the good moves, and he's playing well chess. You can't beat me like that with a black color, especially. So let's move on to board number 3.
Number 3 board, we have Yangyi with white pieces, the winner of the Chess 960, playing against Jules Moussard. Jules Moussard just had a tough time in the round 1 against Vincent Keymer, having a better position and losing concentration and something and losing the game. So we have here. We are waiting for the camera to load to see the players, but
I think this is from the round number 1, still the position, right? Because I see black has won. This game is still not finished. It's going to pop up in a moment. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah. Just waiting a couple of moments, but just meanwhile, let's look what is happening here at the board. Well, we have quite a domination in the space for white. Looks such a brilliant position. Was it
For
the
white,
King's
absolutely.
Indian?
Might have been, but I know definitely at least one opening which can reach the same structure. Just a sec, let me check it if I'm right. Actually, it's 4 knights. No, this is what I wouldn't have guessed. So seems rather classical. White gave up the 2 bishop advantage voluntarily and played e5. Yeah, this is, I think, just a demonstration of the understanding of this position, because if you go back here, I don't think you can actually play d5 immediately. So if you play d5 immediately, this is a very common structure. I definitely know this from some Pierce positions. You can play knight e5. And now the point is that bishop e7 is knight e7. It's a known trick. And after he takes on d5, bishop g5, you see you can't take the bishop here because the bishop on g4 is pinning the queen. And this also explains the reasoning why Yangyi decided to kill the knight first, so that he can play d5. And then he wants, I think, to play a5, a6, and establish a very nice outpost on d5 for his knight.
Absolutely, and he's closing the position, which is also very, very beneficial for the knights. We are having here 2 knights against 2 bishops. Reminds me some Fischer games in the match, and he was also trying to dominate with the knights. Here, the bishops are so sad because there are no open diagonals at all. Pawn a pawn is just marching there to a6, as we see, and knights are just ready to jump in and dominate the position.
Actually, the bishop on e8 is not so bad, but you're right about the bishop on f6. Yeah, it definitely deserves something better.
Yeah, would deserve, but okay. So
a6 is
was
played.
played.
Otherwise, yeah, this is too much of a big positional threat.
This would be a disaster.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think something like this is if white gets the other knight to e3 and jump on d5, this is a nightmare for black.
Yeah, exactly.
Strategic nightmare.
So
knight
a6
e2.
was played, but now b6 square is very weak, so most likely knight can go over there to b6, and yeah, that's actually what's happening. c5.
Yeah, and he played c5, knight c4. I think this is not a decision that Jules was very happy to make, because normally when you have 2 bishops, you should be looking for ways to open the position, but I have a feeling that he simply had no choice.
Yeah, he simply had no choice. And here, after knight c4, was there any bishop b5 to try to bishop b5?
But I just take it and play knight b6, no?
Yeah, then you're just winning a pawn.
Yeah, the pawn on b5, c4 is intermezzo move, knight a8, yeah, so.
Yeah, it's not working at all.
Yeah, it doesn't work, unfortunately, so knight b6 is unstoppable, queen c4, b4. I think that Yangyi is just playing a pattern. He knows. He just knows this pattern, so he doesn't have to really improvise as he was doing in the Chess 960 tournament. And if you jump back to the position, about here, he's just playing classical chess. He needs to push c4, c5 at some point, make sure it happens, which gives him a very strong pass pawn at the d file. Textbook game so far. At the same time, Jules Moussard is trying to organize some sort of a counterplay at the king side, because he knows, right, if white plays c5 easily with no resistance, then this very strong pass pawn on d5 essentially will decide the fate of the game for white.
Yeah, he managed to make this c5 break. d5 pawn is a potential passer. It's very hard to play for black right now. Like, it's, I don't know. So now, actually, there is maybe slightly a threat to take on e4, because he's...
We discussed this, Angelica, yesterday,
Yeah.
right? I mean, in difficult positions, it's not easy to make good moves. And that's why every single move you're going to make almost is going to feel like a mistake. Rook d6, yeah, I guess it was a sad necessity. Knight d6, the engine shows as a missed victory or a missed opportunity. What could it be? Of course, Yangyi doesn't have this information that there was something here. But what is it? I mean, I don't see really. I think knight a6 makes perfect sense, right? So he occupies the outpost on e6. black sacrificed an exchange because you can't really tolerate this knight. Garry Kasparov, back in the day, he would say the knight on the 6th rank is always worth a rook.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
Jules says, I'm going to have an extra pawn on top of that.
Yeah, and
Now bishop comes to c6.
now bishops are trying to get back to life, trying to grab that pawn on e4. So now white has to do something, either to trade on f5, but okay, if trade on f5 doesn't happen, then there will be more open diagonal for the bishop. Maybe something like...
I mean, I like the choice by Jules because this definitely gives him some counterplay. So if he gets the bishop on c6 and somehow he manages to activate the position for his bishops, he can get a really great position. So I think that Yangyi definitely didn't blunder this exchange sacrifice. He must have envisioned that. But the question is, what's going to be? What is it that he has planned to play here? Because normally when you play knight e6 and you are a strong grandmaster, you expect that your opponent is going to sacrifice the exchange, and he has something very concrete in his mind. But what is it? I mean, I don't immediately see. So I assume he wants to open the position. Something like e takes, g takes,
Rook c7.
rook c7. Yeah, but then what? I mean, I still don't see, right? So because black can still play rook g8 to organize some counterplay at the g file, is this obvious to you? It is not.
Yeah, I mean...
It is absolutely not obvious to me.
This is absolutely not obvious because the bishops are just getting these diagonals and becoming so active. So here...
Yeah, but what to do? Because bishop c6 is incoming with a strong power. Maybe remove the knight because the knight is not doing anything.
Maybe
Something
knight
like
d5, yeah.
knight e5, bishop c6. Maybe you could sacrifice the exchange because b takes on c6 leaves the rook under attack, and after queen c6, take on f5, but
But what is there?
rook d8, rook b. Is this even working? You know, I can't calculate so quickly. Yeah, it's a mate.
Okay, so what happens if gf?
If gf, I think there's rook b6. You just win a queen.
Oh,
I think he saw this idea.
Maybe, yeah.
So, yeah, knight e5, he just played it. He takes. He took on.
He took first on f5
he
and
took
then...
first and then knight e5.
So now bishop c5 is not there, as we just looked at the position, and Jules is having so little time on the clock. He has to play something. He played bishop h5, trying to steal attack, try to activate those bishops. But wait a second.
And this marks as a mistake. I don't see why. I mean, queen d3 probably to keep the
queen
threat of rook b6 alive.
Queen d3.
And
I mean-
Moussard is down in the last 20 seconds, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're just removing the queen, and there is rook b6, a dead threat. The deadest threat, and black is just on the last seconds have tried to find some move to hold it. I mean, maybe bishop g6, but okay, it's very hard. I mean, maybe
I think he's just lost.
e4.
Yeah, rook b6 is too much. It's just too much for him to bear. Queen d4 immediately respond. There's just no
Yeah.
defense. I mean, rook b6, knight f6. So he does play your bishop g6, but now rook b6, knight f6. Brilliant game.
Brilliant
Yangyi.
game by Yangyi, absolutely. After yesterday's success with 5.5 points out of 7, unbeaten basically, with only 3 draws, he is coming with a second victory, I would assume, in the rapid section. So, yeah, I mean, quite impressive.
Queen e8, rook c7.
Rooks
Now
are
white is
dominating.
charging in. Rook b6, rook b7, knight e5. I think you just resign here, basically. Okay, he's going to try it. Queen h8, maybe a miracle happens. White is going to trade the queens. I think he can actually already do that, but I'm pretty sure that Yangyi is looking for the killing blow.
Is there something rook g6 and queen b6, or there is just bishop
It looks
f6?
like there should be a killing shot immediately.
Yeah.
Rook g6, king g6. I think he's going to call click here for a moment.
Yes.
Takes, queen
Queen
b6,
b6.
king h5. Now where's the killing blow? g4, h takes. Now there's no mate. I don't see it yet.
There should be something. I mean, he has a lot of time. He has 2.5
course.
minutes, so he's just taking his time not to miss anything in this position. Because, you know, sometimes you might play just some solid move and manage, and black will manage to somehow rehabilitate here.
I think he's just going to take it, you know. Just take it and play knight e7. This looks the absolutely the simplest one. Takes,
Yeah.
takes, takes. This leaves the pin alive. Rook e6 is a threat. The pawn on b7 is gone. So there's just no way. King
Yeah.
g5 is rook g7. I'm pretty sure that he already sees this. You know, Angelica, I normally call this myself my minimal program. If nothing really is more convincing, then I always have this.
Absolutely, yeah. That's your solid way. That's how he can go. But yeah, he's just thinking if there is anything else in the position.
Yes, time.
Yeah, he
2
has
minutes.
for sure time.
Yangyi is completely in control. Also, this would mean that the Chinese Grandmaster, after his spectacular victory yesterday in the Chess 960 tournament, remember, he wanted 5.5 points out of 7, a clear point ahead of the second and third place. He started a rapid tournament with a victory, and now he's about to score the second.
Wait a second, knight of 6 played.
So he found something better. He found like a direct mate. Where is it?
So queen d5. Now there is some threat of rook h7. I thought actually maybe in the previous move rook h7
Rook
could.
h7 with he's looking for a beautiful mate, I think.
Yeah, some rook h7 is.
Wait, can we do this? So rook h7, bishop h7. Where's my immortal game? Knight g8, king h5,
Oh
rook
my gosh.
h6. I don't see the mate.
But at least there is a.
Okay, not
Oh my
immediately.
God.
It feels like something is there, right?
Yeah, it feels like it is in the air.
Maybe queen e6. Okay, black is gonna trade it, and we essentially reach the
think-
same position.
And rook g7.
There's a lot of very nice-looking moves. Maybe just take on. Oh wait, you can't take on g7 because the knight is hanging. Maybe just take the
I
pawn.
mean, in the worst case, there is rook g7, bishop h7, knight g8, and taking the queen. So that's like the absolute. So rook h7, bishop h7, and knight g8, and take the queen.
Okay, h7, bishop h7, and what?
Knight
you
g8 and
the
take queen. Yes,
Ah,
yes.
I missed this actually.
Yes, just take the
Missed this.
queen.
Yes, the queen is under attack. I was looking for the mate, and I forgot that you can always take the queen.
Yeah, and there is a checkmate actually threat.
Yeah, beautiful. Really spectacular victory. 9g8.
And they're finishing
And
the
resignation.
game. Resignation is there.
That's a double check, by the way. And somebody was wondering why black is not taking the knight. It's a double check.
Exactly. So we have actually 2 other games finished. Like when Liam won against Diac. Ah, wait,
Right.
it was the round 1. Sorry. So we have a draw. Vincent Keymer against Diac. All the games finished.
Yeah, all the
Right.
games have finished.
1 second.
Perhaps while we're updating the results. So let's check what happened. Wait, this game against of Amin Bassem against Lekwang Liam. We are following it. I think we left it quite early here. And he did play this d5. Remember, we were discussing this,
Yes.
right? He did play this d5, which I said I'm not sure about that. And you see Chesscom engine marks that it's a mistake. Instead, we're discussing here maybe black should have, you know, pursued the classical idea of f5. And now, yeah, knight e4, we already discussed this as well. Knight e4, d takes on e4. I'm quite surprised by Liam's choice because I think he knows too well that this weakness on d5 cannot be a good position. So, I mean, whatever happened here, yeah, b takes, knight e4, he tried to change the character of the game. Knight f3, knight g5. Wow, this is a dream position for white. I mean, these light squares for Amin Bassem.
This
they
is
are
absolutely
really
incredible.
decisive.
Yeah.
So, impressive victory by Amin Bassem, but I think it's fair to say that Lekwang Liam did this to himself, unfortunately for him.
Yes, exactly. He did it to himself in a way. So
And David Navara beat Arjun Erigaisi. We saw this already coming
Yeah.
because Arjun self-destructed himself in the opening. We left it about here. We said that white is completely winning because black can never take the pawn on a2 because of the checkmate on f8. The background issue, and then decided it didn't take long for Navara to win the game. And finally, we didn't see a lot of the game of Vincent Keymer against Daniel Bogdan Diac. We didn't see this game at all, I think. So
yeah, we had some Carlsbad structure here. White is fully occupied and actually exchange all the pawns on the queen side and try to create the weakness on c6. That's the main
Winston loves
idea.
these positions.
Yeah.
He loves these positions. I mean, he knows that this gives him a very pleasant edge, this pressure on the pawn on c6. While White's pawn structure, you see these pawns here, they're better defended.
Exactly. So.
But it just was not enough. So it seems he was pressing, he was trying to find his chances, he did everything he could.
Yeah. If there were extra pawns on a file, it would be probably much better for White. He would have tried to win, but yeah, with only one weakness on the board, it's very hard to win.
All right. Let's also check then the current results of round number 2.
So we have 3 decisive games. We have only one draw here. Bassem Amin is winning against Liam. David Navara won a very nice game against Arjun Erigaisi. And Yangyi was pushing and won against Moussard. And we have a draw, Vincent Keymer against Bogdan Daniel.
This actually is the first draw in the first 2
draw?
rounds. It's a bloodbath here in Biel, right? I mean, there's no draws. Nobody likes to make draws. So they're really fighting it out. Everybody is interested to get the top prize of 10,000 Swiss francs in the end of the overall ranking. And also, let's have a look at the overall rankings.
Yeah, we have 2 leaders with 100% score. We have David Navara and Yangyi, who won both their games in round 1 and 2. So far, quite an incredible start for both of them. And then we have Vincent Keymer to follow with 1 win and 1 draw. And then we have Bassem Amin with Liam with 1 victory, Bogdan Daniel Diac with 1 draw, and Arjun Erigaisi with Jules Moussard on the last place with no points so far.
All right, and also let's go back to the pairings and let's check what is happening in the next round. So
Yes.
the next round is going to start shortly.
So here we have the pairings. Liam is going to play Vincent Keymer, Bogdan Daniel Diac against Yangyi, Jules Moussard against David Navara, and Arjun Erigaisi against Bassem Amin. So.
Right, I think that what we could do right now, again, we are going to make a very short break because the next game is starting in 5 minutes. So I hope you're enjoying this so far. For some time we are getting some technical glitches. Apologize about that. Our wish is try to provide you with as instructive and exciting commentary as we can. So we are going to make a very short break. Don't go anywhere, make a cup of coffee, and come back in 5 minutes as we are providing this coverage from Swiss city of Biel. Don't go anywhere. Take care. And we're back. Back, dear viewers. From Biel, as usual, we made a very short break before the start of the round number 3. I do believe the games are about to start. We have something like 1 minute.
Oh my God.
Your hosts today are Angelika Volkova, I'm Grandmaster Auto Nations, and we still have 5 more rounds of the rapid tournament of the GMT.
Exactly. So round 3 is about to begin, and we have 2 absolute leaders with 100%. We have David Navara and Yangyi. So yeah, they have shown some amazing chess from the last 2 rounds. They were pushing for it, and they got the reward with 4 points. Then we have Vincent Keymer, who won the first round game, and the second one he couldn't push for a win, so he has 3 points. We have Amin with only 2 points, together with Liam, and Bogdan Daniel Diac with 1 point, while Arjun Erigaisi and Moussard are still trying to catch up with everyone.
Right, and here are the pairings of the round number 3. Liam, Vincent Keymer, Diac playing against the tournament leader, Yangyi, Moussard against David Navara, and Arjun Erigaisi against Amin. And for Bassem, actually, this last round's victory was really important because in the Chess 960 tournament, the Egyptian top grandmaster had a rather rough tournament. But here he is back in business, and he shows he can still play very good chess. Maybe let's go and see if the players are ready.
Exactly. Let's jump into the boards. We can see some arbiters setting up, and the players, I think, they are magically
That was nice.
magically appearing at the board. So we have the.
Let me see if we can start with the leader, perhaps. What do you think?
Yes. So either Yangyi or David Navara. I think we didn't see the game of the.
No, just a second. We can start with, indeed, the board number 2. Oh, wait. That's pretty sure is an old footage. You're going to get it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So here we have Yangyi with black pieces so far on 100%. The winner of yesterday's Chess 960 Accentus tournament. He had won with 5.5 out of 7. Incredible, unbeaten score. He had only 3 draws, and all the other were victories. Even though some of them were some lucky games, but the winners are not being judged. The winner is the winner.
Right. I also would like to remind the viewers, you have a chance to ask some questions in the chat. We are reading what you're saying there. Also, by the way, I see that there's a question. Is it just me or the rapid tournaments are getting more popular? Yes, absolutely. They're getting more popular. The accelerated time control games and tournaments, they are getting a definitely big boost thanks to the COVID and pre-COVID, post-COVID situation in the world, and also the fast development of the online super tournaments. But the Biel Chess Festival has longer traditions than that, and I'm a great fan of the GMT system because this possibility for the players to compete against each other in various time controls, blitz, rapid, classical, Chess 960, and then summarize it together to determine who is the strongest. I don't really know many examples like that in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. And also it's very nice that players are playing this Chess 960 as a tiebreaker, so they have the standings basically, and they cannot say, oh, it was unfair, the tiebreak was unfair, the coefficient was unfair. This was the standings of the tournament, what makes the tiebreaker. So we see the players are getting ready for the game, and meanwhile maybe we could share you some more information about the Biel Chess Festival.
Right, so this is the rapid tournament, the first tournament of the 3 which counts towards the triathlon, because the Chess 960 doesn't count towards it, it only serves as a potential tiebreaker. So we have 28 games in total, 7 from the Chess 960, that makes 35 games. 3 sets of round robin. As you can see, Blitz is going to have double round robin tournament. Here you see the scoring system. Today is the rapid tournament. 2 points for the victory, 1 for a draw, 0 for a loss. And that's why maybe you're a bit confused about why there's 2 points awarded for the victory. There you go. But everything can still, of course, dramatically change because the tournament, the triathlon, is only starting, and so many points will be awarded for the victories in the classical tournament.
Absolutely. So don't count that someone will continue some mistakes and losing streak or something like this. In classical portion, everything can change for 4 points for a win for sure. And here is a time control. Today we're having the rapid, which is a 15 minutes for the whole game, with the addition of 5 seconds increment per move starting from move number 1. About other time controls we're going to talk later once we have the classical and blitz controls. Here is our prize fund altogether with over 28,000 Swiss francs. First place is bringing home 10,000 Swiss francs.
All right. And now I think the games have started. Let's jump back to the action. That's, I think, a slight delay. And there you go. There you go.
But still, we saw how the layer started the game, shaking hands, starting the clock. So we have already a couple of moves, quite a few moves made on the board. So we have the
Queen's Indian.
The Queen's Indian,
That's my main continuation with black.
This is your repertoire.
Yeah, that's my repertoire. So I could tell you everything about it. I mean, the popularity of the Queen's Indian always has been throughout the ages. I don't even remember who started it, but I can definitely tell for sure that the inspiration for me to play the Queen's Indian, it came from Avishai Anand, the former world champion, who we had here in Biel last year as a special guest. He was joining us in the studio. Then also combined efforts of Sergei Karyakin, I think Timur Rajabov, and basically based on them I created my repertoire. But anyway, maybe that's not really relevant. What's relevant here is that white is taking the center, black plays e6, b6, and then he's thinking at some point to fight for the center, right? Demolish the center, which is a very popular approach of many chess openings, like the Grunfeld. Like Grunfeld, black gives away the center and then tries to, destroy it. Bishop e7 is the older continuation. There's a number of choices. There's bishop a6, there's bishop b7, there's bishop b4 check. The popularity is, again, changing all the time. Bishop g2, bishop e7, this is the old line. And the more established continuation here is knight c3. So after knight c3, white is thinking about queen c2, play e4, and in theory, if he managed to do that, he is a happy person. So black usually responds with either knight e4, and then after bishop d2, queen c2, rook c1 theory is only starting here. Or there's the immediately committal move d5, and after d5, c takes, e takes. This is where white has a slight edge, but there's a lot of pieces on the board, and I know that also one of the leading Ukrainian grandmasters, Yuri Krivoruchko, sometimes just plays d5. He doesn't really care about all of these nuances, and he gets a big fight. But here we have rook e1. And rook e1 is a really tricky move because white is thinking about playing e4, not immediately, but it's in the cards. So the question is what black is going to do. And as far as I know, the main move is d5.
Yeah.
I think so, if I'm not terribly mistaken.
It looks very logical, yeah.
And after c takes, black says, your rook e1 move is not a great addition to the position, but white achieves this structure which normally gives him some advantage according to the engines. He plays something like knight c3, bishop f4. Although he gave up this tempo of rook e1, white is quite happy.
Yeah.
But something else happened. He played queen c8, and this is a move I have played myself as well. And the idea here is that after knight c3, black is getting ready to play the idea knight e4. The only thing which is slightly amusing here, I don't understand why Diac did not play bishop g5. Because after queen c8, bishop g5 is the main move. Now the point is after h6, bishop f6, bishop f6. I think the theory says here white is better. Right? And now you see you have your rook exactly where it belongs. But yet, for some reason, Diac played b3.
Interesting. So he doesn't want yet to try to push e4, but he rather wants to bring first probably the bishop to b2, or does he want to play bishop a3? I guess bishop b2, right? He doesn't want to trade the bishops.
I mean, b3 is definitely a normal move. I'm not saying that Diac is playing wrong. But it's not the most popular move. So bishop g5 is definitely a more popular move. b3, it feels like a sideline. And now the big question is what happens after c5?
c5.
Can I do this? Because so that you understand, wait, did he play it? Yeah, he did play c5. C5 is on the board. So that you understand why black is almost never playing c5 immediately. Because if you get to take on d4, you have some hedgehog position. Let's say knight c3, c takes, queen d4, d6. Hedgehog is good usually. That's reputation. But normally after c5, white plays d5, e takes on d5, and knight h4. This famous Pologayevsky's jump, right, from this early d4, d5, pinning the bishop on b7, threatening to play knight f5, threatening to play c takes d5, maybe knight c3. And if black gets some sort of modern Benoni position, the bishop should be standing here on g7, and white almost always is much better. So that's at least how I treat this position. But something changes here. So black plays queen c8, and now he protects the bishop. You see? Because if he would go here immediately, c5, once again, let me show it to you. Where was this?
Next move, yeah.
Here.
C1 here,
c5, d5 takes, knight h4. The bishop on b7 is unprotected, right? And you can't push this pawn anywhere because the bishop on b7 is hanging. But queen c8 defends the bishop, so he's already eyeing for c5, and that's why bishop g5 is the main move, right? So that's why b3 is slightly surprising. And after c5, which was indeed played, now you see d5 is simply not working because I take it, and the bishop is protected. I think that was a waste of a very simple explanation, but I try to explain why this is.
No, it was very valuable for sure. Now we know that this d5 is not working, and why it's not working, because here simply black can take on c4, right? dc4.
Yeah, just take it. Or maybe d4.
Or d4 actually also. Yeah. Okay, so what happened in the game? Bishop a3 was played, so.
I think that Diac is simply looking for a game. Sometimes this happens when you are a very strong grandmaster like Diac and you know a lot of things. You just play some offbeat line and say, I don't want to compete with you, right, in this very deep opening crack. I'm sure you know a lot here, so let's just play chess here. Right? Let's just play some unorthodox continuation and see if I can get a game here.
Absolutely, and he's trying with this interesting idea, bishop a3, knight c3, trying to put some pressure on this diagonal on the pawns. Of course, black doesn't want to take on d4 because otherwise it would get against this hedgehog structure, as you were saying before. What black should do here?
I think he has a choice. Either he accepts the hedgehog. For example, after c takes on d4, queen d4, obviously the pawn is immediately under attack. And black normally aims for a position with knight e7, queen c7, and a6. So if he managed to do that, he is happy. Knight on c6, there's some issues, usually with the pawn on d6. And obviously you don't want to play e5 because it just hands the d5 square on the platter for white. And if white kills this knight, then knight e5 is just amazing for white.
And also if queen c7 will be played, and then queen c8 was waste of a tempo in a way. So
that's a good point. Exactly. So I would imagine that Yangyi would be playing something like knight e4, and just as I was about to suggest this, knight
e4
playing it. Has been played.
Okay, yes, knight e4 is very logical, is still taking this e4 square, wants to bring the bishop over there to diagonal, using the fact that actually Diac played this b3 move.
Otherwise, white is simply playing at some point e4, getting a considerable space advantage. So since black is slightly cramped, Yangyi is just carrying out a common idea of positions where you don't have a lot of space, which is you want to trade off some pieces. Because if you do that, let's say we have this position, you trade the knight, you trade the bishop, and suddenly you have more space, more loft for your pieces, right? Because they have a lot more squares to operate.
Absolutely, and that's why he's just trying to take some space out of it, making, in a way, rook on e1 a little bit useless, saying, okay, you played rook e1, but you cannot push with the pawns, so let's see. And here, bishop b2 was played.
I don't know what Diac is doing here.
He's trying here and there.
He's trying to improvise, but I think that it's pretty safe to say that black has solved all of his opening problems. Again, still, white has done nothing wrong, right? I mean, he can play e3, queen c2, rook d1, and I do stand to what I said. I mean, Diac is simply looking for a fight, and I would say the position is about balanced, but we're going to see. Let's check more games.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go forward to the another game of the of.
You want to check the leader?
Yeah, the leader. Yeah, so David Navara with 4 points with 2 victories in the round 1 and 2. So here we are having him facing Jules Moussard with black pieces. We have the it is from Sicilian.
I don't think it was Sicilian. It's probably something else which turned out in the Sicilian position.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it was Sicilian. No, it was Sicilian. You know, it's very interesting because, I mean, nowadays we instantly recognize a certain pawn structure. We think this is coming from that opening, but very often you can get there from various openings. But you're right, Angelica. It was indeed knight off. A4. That's a rare move. And this is something I definitely have seen, especially in accelerated time control games. They're not playing their main continuations. Because when you're playing rapid or blitz, you want to try some rather offbeat continuations where your opponent doesn't have enough time to figure out all the nuances. So you want to try some rarer continuations where your opponent is slightly off guard. So if he spends here for something like 5 minutes, well, I think in the rapid tournament it should be pretty significant.
Yeah, for sure. The time really matters. So. Yeah, so it's pretty typical. But it is A4 actually. A4 was not so.
What?
A4 was not so typical, right? So
No, A4 is a rare move, like I already said.
Yes, yes.
So this is a rare move.
Yeah.
Again, I'm slightly out of the prep here, but what I can say is that bishop g5 is very common because it fights for the d5 square.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. This is typical, but with pawn on A4, it's. Maybe there could be some A5 ideas with placing knight to B6.
Yeah, maybe at some point. So first bishop C4, securing the outpost on D5, short castle. It's a nice, wow. It's a nice, pleasant position. This is slightly surprising. I can only assume that Jules spent here some time because, you know, normal, Angelica, when I'm looking at this position, I'm thinking that the bishop on f6 is not very good. So you would expect that you want to take on b6.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with you.
But I guess he evaluated that this bishop, in the long term, could become a problem.
Maybe there could be even some d5, e4 ideas, you know, to try push, but... I mean, if bishop was on f6 with bishop.
I mean, here, maybe. Rook d8 and d5 with e4. Perhaps, right. Maybe you're right. Actually, yeah, why play bishop e7 if you want to play bishop d8? That's a fair point. So this must have been the reason why Moussard took on f6, right? He recognized that this bishop in the long term is going to cause him some problems, but now I don't think he has any real advantage here, despite the fact that this knight on b6 is terrible. Black obviously improves it. And
potentially d6 pawn is, of course, it's a weakness, but I mean, black is just protecting it, and also pawn on e4 is pretty weak. Rook is just standing there, only one protecting and not really participating in the game at this point. Yeah, maybe just rook f d8.
Or just take on c4. Either way, I'm not very impressed by the choice of Jules. He had an idea to get a nice pressure, but I mean, David just disarms him. And now he's thinking about his choices, like you said, rook d8 or b takes on c4. Maybe this is a bit more forcing, but the question is what happens after rook takes on d6? Because you can't protect the pawn. Maybe he's looking at...
No, queen g4, h3, right? So it's
queen g4 is definitely a move. h3 intermezzo move. Queen f4, g... Oh wait, I trapped the queen. Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay, this is not good. Okay, this is not good. If I play something
queen
like
e7,
queen e7, b takes... Yeah, but why go here?
Yeah. Why to go here if you can immediately protect the pawn, right?
I think rook b8, but definitely David is thinking not just one move, he's thinking a bit deeper.
Maybe rook c6 with the idea to bring the other rook to a8. I don't know.
But if I take,
If you, yes, of course you
then
can.
you
do
have
so.
to spend another tempo,
Yeah.
another tempo. Maybe it's still fine, put the knight on f6. I think that what David is trying to do here, he's trying to understand which piece stands where. Maybe he's thinking that the knight could be rerouted at some point f6 to fight for the e4 square. Looks about balanced, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks very balanced, but yeah, it's a big choice now for David where how to set up his pieces. He has extra time, so maybe while we let him to decide in this position, we look some other
Yeah,
game.
let's do that. There's not a lot of excitement in this game. Sometimes this happens, but I think that so far, from what we have seen here in Biel in the GMT tournament, it did not disappoint, right?
Absolutely not.
In the Chess 960 tournament, we had a lot of drama, a lot of, unfortunately, also blunders,
Exactly.
losing on time, missing mating ones, etc. So even these players, they're still humans. And Rugier, by the way, is playing.
I would advise to go to the game of Erigaisi against Bassam Amin. There is for sure some drama in the position.
Okay.
It's very wow. The black's king is not castled yet. Just waiting.
Oh, that's from the previous game. Okay, I was
Yeah.
wondering what is David doing there.
David is playing two games at the same time. Okay. Oh my God, what is this?
I think we have to review the game.
Yeah, we have to restart because I'm not so sure how it started.
It's the Jabava London. Jabava London has become quite a popular weapon lately, obviously thanks to the efforts of the Georgian grandmaster, Badur Jabava. The idea is to play e4 as quickly as possible. I think that normally white plays immediately, knight c3, forcing black to play d5, otherwise e4 is a very strong threat. And yeah, h4, another common theme. White is thinking about ideas to play h5. And black faces some tough choices, right? I mean, you can play h5.
But then you will weaken the g5 square.
Yeah, it's a problem, definitely. And h6 is a move, or he can play c6. And this h5 idea is definitely something I've seen before.
Yeah, this h4, h5 move is quite popular in some also other openings. So it's indeed very, very interesting idea. You want to sacrifice in exchange for huge activity. And I guess that's what happened in the game, considering the last position we were looking at. So knight took, trying to say, okay, I'm taking your exchange. Try to show me what you have. I'm bringing my knight over there to f6 and protecting everything. But Arjun has something else to say here.
Right. So he has sacrificed exchange. Bishop h6, rook h6, g4. Okay, I'm not really sure that this was necessary, but let's not dwell on this too much. g4. Whoa, king d2. Well, now this is one of the strangest maneuvers I have seen in this tournament. So he
Long
plays
castle.
a long castle, then he plays king d2 because there's no easy way to protect the pawn on e3. I'm really surprised
Why not immediately king d2?
because maybe the queen on e6 is standing worse than on d7.
Maybe.
I don't know. Or perhaps he simply didn't expect queen e6. And if you play queen f2, the pawn on g4 is under attack because the queen is pinning the rook. And if you play e4, I guess you simply provoke too many
Weakness.
trades
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah, and also g4 becoming very weak. So yeah, king d2 is the only move actually to protect the pawn, and we're going to see probably some rook to follow there to the king side. g5, wow. Yeah, he's rolling the pawns.
Angelique, what do you think about king e3 next? No?
Maybe not yet, maybe.
It's too much. D takes, engines don't like, it makes perfect sense to me because the king is on d2. So you want to open the position a bit. Check, here, king c1. Okay, king c1 and not king d3, okay?
Yes.
Queen h2 makes sense. Queen a5 and knight c5. Wow.
Knight c5. Wow, what a move. Okay. So
So the pawn on a2 means nothing.
it also looks like it's not very dangerous, but the position of the black's king and the rook on h8, I think this looks so much more, that could bring so much more trouble for black. So
Okay, let's just simplify this here. What's happening here? If we go back to this position, you probably are asking, why Arjun is doing this? I mean, why is he sacrificing the exchange? Because you would normally expect that black is going to castle short. So let's say after c6, or maybe even instead of c6. Short castle, h5. Now you sacrifice your exchange. You play queen h5. You play long castle, bishop e3, knight f3, rook h1, whatever. And there's a checkmate somehow, or a very big attack. So you're probably wondering, why is it doing this? Because the king is still in the center, it can castle the other way. Well, exactly. So Arjun's idea is that a black can never easily castle the other way. So that's why he's doing all of this. So he's fighting for the center. He is castling long, and g4, g5 also included, to make sure that black never really has time to castle long. And that's why if he very fast forward to this position, he sacrifices the pawn on a2 because it's important to stop black from castling long. So that's why he's doing this. So he values that the pawn on a2 in the great scheme of things is not really so important, but it is much more important to stop black's idea like bishop e6 and long castle.
yeah, absolutely. And here we have knight c5. The black actually went for knight d7, trying to just neutralize that knight on c5 to trade and castle finally. But yeah, I mean, knight d7, but white will not give them the chance, right?
Angelika, you know, I want to play g6. Can you stop me, please? Can you stop me from playing g6?
Yeah, g6 looks just so...
But I think he did not play it because I see in the camera that more moves have been played, but I really want to play g6. Now the point is, I mean, knight c5 is g takes on f7 check. King f7 take on c5, and then I have... What do I have here?
You have just perfect position. The king on f7 is just in huge trouble. I mean, bishop c4, knight jumps to f4,
Well,
like
still
everything.
Queen c5. I don't know. I mean, maybe there is attack, maybe there is not. Who knows, yeah? And after g6, if you take it, I wanted to play knight e6. Now,
Yeah.
so this was my big idea, which also comes with the bishop takes on g6 threat. But based on what we are seeing on the board, I think the camera is frozen simply. Oh, maybe he's still choosing. Just a second. Let me...
I think on the board we don't yet have knight d7 actually, yeah. Not yet.
I think we're back. Sorry about that. It just keeps repeating. I don't understand. Anyway, yeah, we're back. I mean, some weird stuff is happening here. So,
Finally, we're back, yeah.
yeah, but the camera is still frozen. I mean, first the camera froze, then we
Yeah.
froze. So let's
Everything
just select a
froze.
different game. Which game we haven't yet seen. By the way, Jules Moussard against David Navara have finished in a draw. Yeah, like I already said, this
Yeah.
peaceful opening didn't get anywhere, Jules. Arjun against Bassam is still playing. Maybe go back to the Kwang Liem against Vincent Keymer. I think this game we have not seen
At all, yeah, I see.
at all.
Okay. Let's move there. Rook
Just
c3.
a second. Yeah, I hope it's gonna pop up in a moment. Okay.
Okay, here we have the game finally. Sorry for
Vincent
slight-
is moving so slowly that I cannot even tell if Cam is okay. It's,
no, it was
you know,
not.
he was so slowly moving that I could not understand.
I
Is the
could
cam
see him.
frozen? Is it not? No, it's good. It's
I
good.
could see him winking, so yeah.
Okay, what do we have?
Okay. Ooh, we have Desert.
IQP. The only thing I want to mention here about G6 before going into any details is that one of the typical ideas of the IQP for white is to organize this bishop g5, should castle, rook e1, rook c1, bishop d3, bishop b1, big queen d3, and somehow checkmate on h7. So black plays g6, and he immediately tries to kill this bishop on d3, because now the pawn stands on g6, and with the bishop on g7, attack the pawn on d4. That's it.
Yeah,
That's all you need to know.
Exactly, bishop g5, very logical, 95, trying to trade more pieces. Normally with isolated pawn, the trade of the pieces is preferable for the side, actually without an isolated pawn, but here we have maybe some additional ideas, okay?
So black sacrificed the pawn on h6 because he's getting back on d4.
But white is not taking, he's saying, I want to keep having the isolated pawn because I'm going to use it.
All right.
Which
Can somebody explain me, please, why this is a great move?
Maybe knight h2.
You know, I try to understand why h3 you would give an exclamation mark to this move, because obviously I understand it gives the window for your king, you know, the so-called escape route, just in case you have at some point later the first rank issues. But that h3 is so much better than any other moves, like doubling the rooks at the c file, beats me. But maybe you're right. I mean, this knight h2, knight g4 was a great move. Either way, it is not played, at least not yet.
Yeah, not yet, but
Vincent tries to activate the bishop, otherwise on e8 it's very passive.
he's going maybe to this g4 square from e5. He will have always this opportunity to jump there.
And I see there's a question in the chat. Was not knight g4 a very strong move by Liam? You mean here?
Yeah.
Attack the pawn on h6 and attack the queen. I mean, this would probably prompt the black to play either queen g5 or queen h4.
Queen g5
What
is
does it
pretty
do?
logical. f4?
Queen h4. I'm not sure. Is there g3, queen h3? Knight
King
f2?
yeah, knight
King
f2.
f2.
But then,
We are forgetting a minor detail here, yeah?
yes.
Okay.
So let's not forget our pieces.
I mean, it doesn't look like knight g4 is really working. So bishop takes on f5. Okay, so it is quite apparent that white has some pressure at the c file. The bishop on c6 is beautiful. So if black would only somehow get the bishop on d5 and remove the rook in the process, this would be simply better for black, because white has a weakness on d4. The bishop on d5 is very strong, and also the bishop on d5 is attacking the pawn on g2. However, it's a pin, which might change something.
Yeah, might change for sure something. I don't know.
This is a blunder.
We have to be careful.
You have to be careful not to blunder that.
Sorry.
Okay, but it's at least better than yesterday, right? I mean, yesterday we were having quite more of them. Anyway, queen e3 is played by Liam, and looks like Liam is still pressing here. So what we're going to do is, let me check if we can select another game, and I don't think we have seen for some time also Daniel Bogdan Diac against Yangyi.
Exactly. I would also suggest to go there, because we checked the beginning, the opening till the middle game, and then we didn't check at all the game. So let's see what is happening here. As always, Diac in some huge time trouble, under 10 seconds. Oh my God, he's playing the moves basically on the last seconds in the clock. And while Yangyi is comfortable with almost 3 minutes on the clock, it was just happening in the previous round against Jules Moussard. I think Jules was completely low on time, and Yangyi was comfortable choosing the way how he wants to win this position. Okay, I'm not so sure that here he's dominating as much, but okay,
No,
he's trading.
White is absolutely slightly better here.
Yes.
I mean, it feels like he has some space advantage. Then again, black is pretty solid. Yangyi traded his queens. We discussed this yesterday after watching some of the Diac's games in the Chess 960 tournament. I don't think it's a very good time management by the top Romanian grandmaster, but he gets the job done, right? Because I know that there's some players, we call them cetnochiks, yeah? I mean, they just love getting in time trouble, and they love getting the thrill, the adrenaline that you have to make the move right now, and they keep making these very good moves in time trouble, and the top person which comes to my mind is obviously Alexander Grishuk,
Yes,
right? I mean,
absolutely.
especially in the classical game, he can spend like 1 hour on the move, and then in time trouble, he's going to make all the best moves. Fine, you know, I'm more like the traditional guy who likes to leave some time for the critical moments, but maybe this is what motivates him.
Yeah, some players are just like this, exactly, indeed. And yeah, we've seen from yesterday experience, he was always going down on time in the rapid, in the chess 960 rapid. So here we see again going down to the seconds. I've seen also in some other tournaments he was playing, and he was also heading towards last seconds. Sometimes it could maybe really boost this adrenaline and maybe help you to go with your intuition and go for some nice decisions. But who knows how it can turn around for him in
Maybe
this
it's
game.
a part of the strategy, because definitely one trick comes into my mind when you have a bad position, when you have a losing position. So what you should do, you get in time trouble. Why? Because then your opponent starts to play on your clock. He thinks I can try to flag you, you know, and maybe he makes some hasty decisions which he might regret. It's a known trick, but having a good position and going deliberately in time trouble, I don't know, maybe.
I mean, there is a comment in the chat that hasn't he once even taken 1 hour for a move just to pretend to be out of the prep and set up a trap for Levon Aronian, and he
Grishuk.
I don't
Who was
know if Diac or Grishuk.
Diac? Like spending 1 hour, you know, I don't know if I would be able to do that, right? I mean, spend 1 hour pretending.
Yes,
But again, maybe.
maybe.
Okay,
Okay,
Bishop A5 is played.
So I think so far actually Yangyi managed to bring the rook to a4, just trying to attack all the weaknesses of white, but okay, Diac is defending right now.
I'm not sure if he's defending really, because there's no danger for him, is there? I mean, the question is what happens with the queen side. So let's say if you play something like rook b8, rook b2, you need to watch out for the trade, and then after knight b6, indeed, you're right. You lose the pawn on c4. So maybe after the trade, then this could be actually a problem. If black gets to play bishop d4, play knight b6, and if white is not in time to protect the pawn on c4, then you're right. Then he might be actually defending. But I don't think that this position has any danger to white.
Yeah.
There's no really points of penetration. Okay, maybe rook b1 is a threat, but you can always put the king somewhere on e3. The pawn on c4 is well protected. f4 could be an idea. f6. The bishop here on a3 for white is on the color of a lot of black pawns. I think it's still balanced.
Yeah, it should be balanced. Just the only thing is that this pawn on d6, it looks like a weakness, but it's very hard for white to go and get to it, while black could have a clear plan how they can attack the pawn on c4, which is potentially weak, and a pawn on a2. So, yeah, last move was play king g2, so he's trying to prepare for some kind of endgame before trading the rooks or something, and yeah. Here we are right now.
Either Yangyi is making a very big decision not to capture, or the cam is frozen. All right, I think the cam is frozen. So do we select maybe another game where we have a feed?
Yeah, we can go back to the game of
Maybe this
Arjun Erigaisi.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Erigaisi
Let's see how. Oh, the king castled.
The king did castle.
Oh my God, the king castled. So what does it mean? It means that white.
He has castled, I guess.
It means that white doesn't have this initiative anymore, because earlier Arjun Erigaisi was trying to make a point that he's having a huge development. The king of black was still in the center. There was a rook on h8, and now what we have the king of black is already in the safety castle there, standing on b8, and Yeah, well, I don't know what White is going to do because Arjun is now down an exchange. I mean, for
me-
not much.
Let me align the camera slightly. I think it
Yeah.
was slightly off. All right.
So yeah, we have here last move played bishop c5.
And Amin is on fire, you know, because he played yesterday this Chess 960 tournament not well, and it looks like he won the game. And did he win the game? I don't really see. Let me. Yes, so the kings are on the dark square, so this means that Amin Bassem has scored his second victory in a row, which is going to catapult him among the leaders. Well played, well played. I'm happy for
my
him.
God,
I saw
yeah.
him yesterday after the after the Chess 960 tournament, and I was like, ah. And
Yeah.
I mean, well, so what can I do, right? I even lost his final game in Chess 960 when he was playing against
Like when Liam, yeah, he was pushing so much, but he couldn't make it. But yeah, he rehabilitated for it. He got some very good, good sleep. He came here to Rapid. Already Rapid is a part of the Grandmaster Triathlon, while the previous day we had Chess 960, which was just a tiebreaker. He knows that what matters is just what is happening here today, and that's why he's pushing for the victories.
Right. So we switched now to the game of like Wang Liem against Vincent Keymer. If this is the actual position, I think it is, or very close to actual position. It's a theoretical draw. Should be pretty easy, but White at least is making the expression that he's pushing because he has the protected pawn here. So it can go to as far as b6, maybe try to bring the king. But as soon as he does it, he's going to lose all of his kingside pawns. So essentially, I don't think there's any progress for White to be made.
Yeah, theoretically it should be a draw. So I don't know if we have other game or to follow because I think
Let me see.
I mean we still have Diac against you.
Diac against you.
Maybe something more interesting will happen
Okay, yeah,
there.
maybe let's switch back because I think we are missing.
I think we have a result.
Where? What result?
Yangyi won. I mean, I don't know what.
Oh, there was a lag. Right, so after knight b5, it seems that we missed some action. Now it has sprung to life. We saw this game about here, and I was very confident to say that White, everything is all right for White.
I told you that there are weaknesses. C4 is much bigger weakness than D6.
Okay.
Oh my God.
All right, if you say so. Okay, so g4. Oh, wow. Bishop e5.
Wait, what?
This can't be right?
I mean, well,
I think it deserves a refresh.
yeah, just let's.
No, it did happen.
It did happen. So knight jumps, attacking the c4 pawn. There is no way to protect him.
Ah, knight d3 and knight. Oh, that was really great imagination. So d takes on e5, knight e3, rook c4 is knight e5. Fine. So black took on c4. Now stop bishop f4, knight a3. Just resigned because the bishop on f4 is hanging.
Oh my God, he just. Oh.
Did he
So
resign?
it looks like.
he
I mean,
resigned.
it's.
Yeah, two pieces are hanging. We missed this action. You're right.
Oh
You're
my
right. So
God,
indeed,
this
black
is-
found some weaknesses. But I think that definitely the time management played a role here because Diac starting about here. Since this position, he was in time trouble. But all of that doesn't matter. What matters is that Yangyi is on fire. So can we get the results, Angelika?
Yes, just 1 second, and we have the results right now. We have the draw peaceful result on the first board, Lekwang Liam against Vincent Keymer. We have Yangyi scoring another victory. He is on fire. He is now the sole leader already of the Rapid with 100%. Incredible result. We had a peaceful result on the board number 3, Moussard against David Navara. And we have Amin, who managed to neutralize the attack of Arjun Erigaisi. Wow.
Arjun, I don't think he's in shape so far, so he had a pretty disastrous tournament yesterday, also here today. I think what he lacks here, unfortunately for him, is some patience, because he immediately tries to force matters. Also in the second game against Amin, he sacrificed an exchange, which was very interesting, but the Egyptian Grandmaster kept his cool and just converted it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's check the standings. I think we have sole leader Yangyi with 100%, 3 victories, which brings him to 6 points.
Just to remind you, every victory is 2 points, because this is the part of the Grandmaster Triathlon. 3 tournaments, Classical, Rapid, and Blitz. And in Rapid tournament, every victory counts 2 points, and every draw is 1 point.
Absolutely. And we have in the second place David Navara, who also started perfectly with 2 out of 2. Now he played a draw, but again he couldn't make it more. We have Amin trying to catch up after not such a great Chess 960 tournament, together with Vincent Keymer with 4 points. We have Lekwang Liam with 3 points, while Bogdan Daniel Diac and Jules Moussard have only 1 point. And Arjun Erigaisi so far doesn't have a great time in the Rapid tournament with 0 points.
Pretty disappointing for him. All right, and also let's check what is happening in the next round. So this was round number 3. 4 more rounds still to go. Here we go.
So we are having pairings for the round number 4. Arjun Erigaisi will face Lekwang Liam, Amin Bassem against Jules Moussard, David Navara against Bogdan Daniel Diac, Yangyi against Vincent Keymer. Yeah. So we are going to see the leader of the Rapid tournament facing Vincent Keymer, and the second board, David Navara against Bogdan Daniel Diac. There is going to be quite some action. I mean, as we remember, yesterday Yangyi won the Chess 960 tournament, absolutely unexpected, because previous year, as we would like to remind you, he was playing also in Chess 960 tournament because he was substituting Andrei Sipianka, who didn't make it in time for the first day of the Grandmaster Triathlon 2022. And he was actually having the last place with 1 point out of 7 games. This year he is scoring 5.5 out of 7 and winning the Chess 960 tournament. And now he's still on fire in the Rapid section.
All right. So I do believe that we are going to have 1 more game before a longer break. Round 4 is going to start in a couple of minutes. I don't think we are going to make a break, are we?
No, we can go on.
We don't need breaks. Commentators don't need really. What can I do? What can I do?
So then I think we are back now. I hope we're back.
I think what we are going to do is we are going to once again start with the leader, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So let me select camera number 4. Right, so Yangyi is having a perfect run so far, a 3 out of 3, playing against Vincent Keymer. We discussed this yesterday, but I guess it doesn't really hurt to repeat. Vincent, among all of the participants of the GMT tournament, is the youngest player. He's only 18 years old. But guess what? He is also the most experienced player of the Biel tournament, of at least these participants in the GMT, because if you can have a look at how many times all of them have played here, you're going to be surprised. So let's start perhaps with Yangyi. So here you see that Yangyi played only once in the Biel tournaments, which was back in 2022. He was a substitute of Andrei Yesipenko of the Chess 960 portion. He played badly. yeah, we discussed this. Perhaps he was not really motivated. He finished only 1 point out of 7, and that's why this year he's really in a great shape and willing to prove that he plays well.
Absolutely, and we have here the second-rated Lekwang Liam, who is also at the same time the winner of Grandmaster Triathlon 2022. He played only one time here in Biel last year, and he won it. He had quite an incredible result previous year because he won also the rapid section, and then after all the whole event. He is coming from Vietnam. Currently, he's not playing that much. He's more of a coach. The Webster University, and actually till this tournament he was not playing any single classical game since the last year.
And Arjun Erigaisi makes basically the third year in a row when one of the Indian young superstars is coming here to Biel. In 2021 we had Saurav Nihal, who played. Then 2022, last year, Domaraju Gukesh. He played here in Biel, which was his last stop before the World Chess Olympiad in Chennai. You probably already remember he made history there. He started with sensational 8 out of 8, and actually he was very close to get 9 out of 9. And this year, it's the time for Erigaisi to have a representative from India keep going, and so far, it's not really going well for him.
Yeah, here we have Bogdan Daniel Diac, former #1 of Romania, who is having current rating of 26.93. Bogdan Daniel, he has just recently come from Prague to us. He played Prague Masters, had quite a nice performance there. He was in a tie for the first place together with Ray Robson, and unfortunately during the tie breaks he lost, and he managed to become second place there.
Right, and Vincent Keymer, yeah, the most experienced but the youngest player of the field, once again comes back to Biel. And I believe you asked him, Angelica, in the opening ceremony, Vincent, why are you doing this? Why are you coming back to Biel so many times? And he said, I mean, I just enjoy this, right? I enjoy the atmosphere here in Biel. I love the system. I love the chance that you can compete in all of these various time controls. And I'm pretty sure this is not the last time when the young German star is playing in Switzerland.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we have the African champion Amin Bassem, Egyptian Grandmaster, coming to us for Grandmaster Triathlon. He actually is coming back to Biel after 22 years. What an incredible comeback. Last time when he was here, he was 12 years old. It was back in 2001. He played MTO. It was one of his first real tournaments. He was saying that one of the first tournament he went to the Europe. He was really, really excited back then, and he's excited right now to be back here in Biel.
And David Navara, the gentleman from Czech Republic, the most experienced player of the field, 38 years old. David shows some really passionate chess here. He is the author of yesterday's amazing so-called miniature against Amin Bassem. He sacrificed the rook only to deliver a checkmate with a knight, and I already said that it could easily become the most beautiful game not only of the Chess 960 tournament but also of this year's festival. So make sure to check it out. But speaking about David's previous experience of the GMT, you see he played twice, 2017 and also back in 2015. Back then finished in the 3rd place.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we have the French champion Jules Moussard, who is having the rating 26, 54, and he actually was giving a simultaneous exhibition right before the tournament began on Friday. The people who would like to play him were playing. He was playing against around 20 participants, and yeah, I mean, yesterday actually in the Chess 960 he started quite slowly, but he was just trying to back on his feet, and actually at the end of the tournament he finished very nicely. So today he's also having quite a slow start, but let's not give the hopes away from Jules Moussard.
All right. I believe that we have a smaller break after all, because I'm being told that one of the tournaments There's another rapid tournament being held on here in GMT. Besides GMT, is not yet finished. So we might have a smaller break. Just to remind you once again about the GMT system. Oh, sorry, not this one. My apologies. We have, how many tournaments was it? 14 or 15 tournaments in total. So we have obviously the main event here. That's the GMT tournament. We have the Swiss Championships, but there's also a lot of open tournaments like the MTO, like the main tournament, amateur tournament, weeks tournament, etc. There's a lot of tournaments, and right now you're not seeing this, but perhaps you could see in the big screen. There's another tournament being held right now. So I think we are going to make a smaller break after all. Something like 5 minutes, because I'm simply running out of material to speak. So let's just make something like 5 minutes and don't go anywhere. Enjoy this. Hope you're enjoying this coverage so far, and see you very soon. Welcome back. The short break is over. It took slightly longer than expected because initially there was no break planned, but we were told that all the tournaments start at the same time, obviously, so that they don't interfere with the other tournament. And there was one very long game in the amateur tournament. Apparently, I'm being told that there was two rooks and a pawn versus queen being played, and they played it out for like 75 moves. So naturally, also the GMT players had to wait. After 75 moves, the game finished in a draw, and now I believe that players are about to get ready and start round 4 of the Rapid tournament.
Absolutely, we've been seeing so far not peaceful games at all. We've seen a lot of blood on the boards from in the rapid section. We had yesterday also a lot of blood happening in chess 960. I'm just looking forward to the round 4. I mean, it's going to be the equator, the middle of the rapid tournament. The games are about to begin, so let's maybe go and see if we have.
Yeah, just to refresh the memory very quickly. This is the pairing for round 4. Erigaisi against Lequang Liem, Amin against Moussard, David Navara meets Daniel Bogdan Diac, and Yangyi, the current leader of the all-around rankings, winner of the chess 960 tournament, the highest rated player in the field, is playing against the German young superstar, Vincent Keymer.
Yeah, and here we have Yangyi sitting and waiting for Diac.
That's an old video.
There is an old video, okay.
I'm pretty sure that's a lag. It's going to change. Wait for it. So we are going to watch the game of Navara against Diac, yeah?
Mm-hmm. So it's
I think
board
it's
number 3 or?
Still not yet started.
Yeah, we're just waiting.
What are your predictions, Angelica? What do you think? So obviously Yangyi is the leader. And David Navara shows that he is in a great shape. He played well in chess 960 tournament yesterday. Bassem is showing some good fighting spirit after a disastrous result yesterday. What would you expect now that we have seen the first rounds of the Rapid tournament? Who do you think are going to be the favorites of the overall rankings?
And just I remember how yesterday, David joined our stream, and was trying to explain us that actually he's playing according to the current tournament situation. So that's why he knows that he's currently second, and maybe he's going to go for some risks, and maybe it could give even a chance to Diac to win this game. Who knows how it will happen? But I'm pretty sure that, since Yangyi had such a nice start, he's one of the favorites because, clearly, he had a great preparation for the tournament. So far, he's in form. Of course, anything can happen because, as we know, classical games are awarded with 4 points for the victory. But David Navara is also trying to prove that he is also basically capable of doing these wonderful combinations like it was happening yesterday. He's capable of trying to catch the players behind. And actually, yesterday he played chess 960 against Diac, and he lost. So here in this game, I'm not so sure what will be the result.
Right. But at least we have already some of the first information coming in that it's an IQP position. If we can, let's go step by step and see how did this happen. Knight of 3d5, knight c3, quite a common topic of today's Rapid tournament. Diac already played c5 before. I think it was round number 2. I already don't remember against whom he definitely played it. C takes on d5 and c takes on d4. Yeah, this is a quite thematic continuation. The reputation is that it is, I think, quite drawish, if I may say to speak like that, because the most common continuation here is e4. And after e4, let me try to remember it. Was it first bishop b5? No, sorry, obviously black plays knight c6. Bishop b5 takes, queen d8, king d8, knight g5, bishop e6, takes. And the theory only is starting here. And I don't even know what's the current status of it. Is there bishop b5 first? Or even without this bishop b5, a black takes on e4. Queen d8 takes, knight g5, bishop e6, and there were some developments with g3. Oh my goodness, I'm not going to pretend I even know every single detail here. So what
Of
bishop g5 was
course.
played anyway.
Yeah, bishop g5 was played, very logical, trying to cap the spin while putting the pressure on the isolated pawn on d5. Yeah, I mean, so far so good. Bishop e7 very logically to break the pin is being played by black. e3, I mean, everything is according to the plan. Rook d1,
The one is an immediate attack on the pawn.
he did.
And
He's not waiting.
What?
He's not waiting.
He's not waiting, he's attacking the pawn on d5, but here's the difference. So if you are, let's say, a starting level player, right, and you're thinking, okay, my pawn on d5 is under attack, it really requires a defense. So you would play something like bishop e6, maybe something like knight e7 to make sure that this pawn is well protected, because as soon as white is going to take on f6, you can recapture the knight. And in the end, you keep the pawn on d5. And all of this makes, of course, perfect sense. But this is where you can see the bigger difference between perhaps a starting level player and a very strong grandmaster. Because a grandmaster with black, of course, he can keep the pawn on d5 if he can, but he can always sacrifice it, right? And that's why it's often a good idea not to give too much priority for one single pawn when you could focus on something else. And that's why what I wanted to say with this, even if white plays rook d1, black might not even want to protect it, right? And at some point, white takes the pawn on d5, black gets a lot of counterplay in return.
Yeah, absolutely. And bishop d3 was played, so trying to put some pressure on h7 pawn, h6, very logical, trying to clarify the things with the bishop on g5, queen a5, pinning the king. Bishop, very, very logical, very standard maneuver with the bishop coming to b1. Queen is going to join into this very nice battery, and yeah, huge threats there in the position already. The checkmate threat is in the air. Maybe black will have to play something like g6 to stop that. Queen a6.
Now that's a very interesting move. Original thinking from Diac's part. So he says you're not going to go away with the king from the center, and if queen d3 happens, I guess black is happy to trade the queens. Actually, I don't think I would really mind it from white, because if I would trade the queens after queen d3 takes, I do keep this outpost on d4. The question is this enough to claim a very serious advantage? I'm not so sure. Either way, bishop d3, queen a5, bishop b1, queen a6 was played. And this is what we call a grandmaster's offer of a draw. Do you want the draw? Let's repeat the position third more time, call the arbiters, have a break. And here, Navara says,
no. He's playing h3. He's saying, okay, I'm just going to play a few more useful moves before maybe trying to trade the queens, playing queen d3, because there is not much of a choice here for white in this position, because you want to castle your king. You want to bring your king to the safety. With the queens on the board, you want to do it. But of course, if he, at some moment, he will consider and go for the exchange of the queens, then king can still be in the center playing like something king e2, bring the rooks to the d file, and black actually played what, knight c6. Ah.
You know, Angelique, I'm still thinking, I'm still puzzled about this move h3, and I just know that it's getting incredibly popular in all kinds of Queen's Gambit accepted positions, especially include somewhere h3, also when black has this potential weakness on d5. And once I think I already mentioned him, a very strong grandmaster, a good friend of mine, Igor Kovalenko, he told me that pretty much all of the opening theory, I think he's right. He said pretty much all the opening theory has been discovered. I mean, all the major continuations have been discovered. All the ideas are out. You can't really surprise anybody with anything, but what you can do is you can improve certain aspects of various openings. And that's why sometimes moves like this h3, including at some point, you are getting the typical position of this particular line, but in a slightly better setup. So this is what he told me, and I thought about it. Yeah, right, I really hadn't thought about that. And one of the games which jumps to my mind, Angelica, is Dinglerand's sensational move h3
yes.
against Jan Nepomniachtchi in the previous World Championship match, which was just exactly that, right? To kill the opponent, move him, not to kill the opponent, move the opponent away from the opening preparation, have some fresh position, and get a slightly better version of what you normally would get, right? So this move h3, it doesn't really do much for white. It's a waiting move. It waits for black to define the setup, and then in some scenarios, white somehow use the control of the g4 square. These are nuances usually understood only at the highest level.
Yeah, absolutely. A very nice example is this. I think it was fourth move, right, or something very, very early
Right.
on, the third
Big
or
Lorenz
fourth
game,
move.
right?
Yes, was 1h3. And yeah, here we have knight c6, and black is forcing white to make a decision. And of course, he doesn't want to go back to d2 and to still have uncastled king in the center. He's going actually for this exchange of the queens. We don't know how is it going. Is it going to be really enough for white? Just this isolated pawn, and
I also
d4.
try to understand once again what was the another reason behind h3, and I think that if he would have played immediately queen d3, queen a5, and now h3, black would have played knight e7, knight c5.
But there is just bishop f6 instead of h3.
Oh wait,
Here he should trade.
You're absolutely correct.
Not possible.
So what I was thinking is simply not correct. I wanted to use this idea that after some knight c6 you have the threat. You're right. I'll just take it back. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. h3, knight
The queens were
c6.
traded.
Queens are traded. Rook d8, very logical. At some moment there could be some d4 break, but white's knight is just stopping it. Very typical idea. Normally you want to play h6 here too. Yeah, you don't want to blunder that.
Yeah.
You don't want to blunder that. So
Doesn't work.
always be careful. And I wanted to say that maybe a6 could have been an improvement, not to allow this knight b5, knight d4 jump, but then maybe knight e2, yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't
92,
make much
94.
sense, yeah.
So
There.
white is not gonna jump on d4 and recapture the pawn because this would lead to some very symmetrical position. What David wants to do here, he wants to establish himself an outpost on d4 with the knight. I know what engines usually think here. Engines are saying that it's equal, it's nothing. It's something like, if you really want, in computer language, 0.15 advantage. Let me check what Chescom is saying here. 0.22, my apologies.
Oh my God.
So it's exactly the same. It says it means nothing. And that's what really has also changed the perspective of players. Because I remember, something like maybe 15 years ago, maybe even more, isolated pawn for no good reason was like almost a big no-no. Just not very good. White definitely has, or the one who has the outpost on d4 has a definitely very good position. In some very old books, you would even give white a very large advantage. And also, thanks to the engines, they say it's not a big deal, right? It's just an isolated pawn. The pawn on d5 is still a pawn.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why engines are saying it's good.
Exactly. So you just have to learn how to play with and against isolated pawn, and that's the key to success. Is playing as isolated pawn. So here we have knight b5, the last move. What do you think Diac is thinking here about? What does he want to do?
He definitely wants to show some activity, but I'm not sure how to do it. Maybe g5, knight e4. Can I do that? It's a very responsible move. g5, bishop g3, knight e4, play bishop f6. There's some very concrete lines that we want to calculate. I think that bishop e4 is not very good because now these bishops become very strong. And it could be something like bishop e5, maybe? I'm not entirely sure. Otherwise, this is a very natural response, and he has already played something, by the way.
Yeah, normally when you have this isolated pawn, you would like to occupy the squares, which is defending. Wow.
King of
King of 8. King is also a piece. King wants to go forward because it's an endgame, actually. Let's not forget that it's an endgame, and Black is trying to improve the piece.
And of course, Daniel Bogdan stays true to his time management. He has already spent like 8 minutes. He plays King of 8. It's a joke, of course, but it reminds me, whoever said this to me, that the more time you spend at the position, the worse the move becomes. Yeah, so, so you play king f8. Yeah, I don't really understand this, why this move is necessary. Perhaps he's waiting. He's waiting for white to define the setup. Perhaps he's waiting for white to play bishop g3 so that you can play knight e4, bishop f6 immediately. Or he wants to play knight e4 immediately.
Yeah, I think the protection of the bishop on e7 is also very important. At some moment, yeah, knight can really jump to b4 or somewhere else. And if bishop is not protected there, then it could bring some problems.
And that's a quiet position. David plays rook c1, rook d1. He wants black to play a6. He's not going to jump to d4 first, because if black plays a6, knight e4, this is a potential weakness that white might want to exploit at some point in the future. And actually, it comes with a direct threat, knight c6. Because now after b takes on c6, you see this bishop here on d3 is attacking the pawn on a6. So, I mean, these players are really smart. They're trying to extract every single minor little detail, because that's what it takes to get something real out of this position.
Absolutely. I mean, every single small prophylaxis is already improving position very much. It depends on the opponent, especially when opponent is taking so much time for a move. It could bring him into trouble in a few moves. So what do you think? Let's check maybe someone else game right
Let's
now.
do it. By the way, a6 and knight e4 is on the board.
No, yeah, a6,
let's
knight
check
e4.
it. What would you like to check?
Do you want to check the leader, Yangyi?
Let's do that.
He's facing Vincent Keymer.
Right, Yangyi, that's an old footage. Don't you worry, the game is ongoing. There's a bit lag. Now it's back.
Now we have the players there. You can see.
So this was a Caracan.
Caracan, wow. Okay.
I mean, it's not really a surprise, because if my memory is not incredibly terrible, then Vincent is working with was it Petr
Petr
Leko?
Leko, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And Petr Leko obviously was a big fan of the Caracan. So
Yeah.
it's not very surprising that Vincent himself also plays the Caracan. But the Caracan, it is incredibly popular today. So I would rank it among top 3 continuations. It's of course e4, e5, if you're looking for a solid grind. Of course, it's all kind of Sicilians, e4, c5, Najdorf, Sveshnikov, etc. And then there's the Caracan. And you know what, Angelika, I do believe that some grandmasters have told me is that they treat Caracan as the aggressive opening for black. And why is this? Because in Caracan, you can't really force black to draw, because
Absolutely.
it avoids all of these symmetrical pawn structures. And maybe you think it's not a big deal, but when you're a top grandmaster, or you are a strong grandmaster, you're playing chess professionally, you're playing in open tournaments, there's this thing that when you're playing against an amateur player, or at least significantly lower player, you have to win them, right? Because you have to win all of them in order to get a high place in the open tournament and then earn something. And then sometimes these players, especially lower-rated players, they play for a draw. You know, they try to trade everything, they try to get symmetrical positions, and that's a nightmare for some very strong players. And that's why Caracan is a very popular response, because in Caracan you can't really get these symmetrical positions.
Absolutely, it's a very powerful weapon. And we have here the knight c3 line, and actually knight f6 was played by Vincent. I actually played myself as well, the same position, yeah, exactly. So the main idea is to bring the knight to f8 by protect the h. Okay, he's playing g6. Okay, normally knight could go to f8, protecting the h7 square, and then we could develop the bishop, let's say, on e6. But in this position, he's going for g6. So he's, no, but it's logical, yes, because knight was on d3. So blocking
Now
everything. Now it will go to f8.
And that's essentially the difference, Angelika, right? Because imagine yourself, you're a club level player, you're looking at this position. I'm very happy because I have a pawn majority at the queen side. I should organize a pass pawn in the center or at the queen side. I'm a very happy person. I have good pieces, etc. And your pieces are doing not much. A professional with black is thinking, I'm very happy because I have avoided symmetrical pawn structure and I have a lot of pieces on the board. right?
Yeah.
So this is a very rich position, and I think the tangents also say that it's not a big deal for white. But what I wanted to add here for a moment, that this is a quiet continuation by Yangyi, because the main continuation, as far as I know, is bishop e3, queen c2, and long castle, followed by c4, knight c3, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
theoretical discussions. Sometimes black even plays h5, h4, but short castle is, I guess, just good enough for a rapid tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, you're right. The queen c2 is the main move if you want to try to create something. But okay, he's going for the same side castle, and maybe he's trying to be more solid. Who knows? But here we have d5. Interesting. Normally, actually, white doesn't have that much of big chance to push those pawns on the queen side. You know, even though there is a there is a pawn majority on the queen side for white, normally the d5 square is protected by the pieces, like something like knight c7, for example, could have been a move like protecting the d5. But I don't know, what was the idea of this bishop d7, b6?
Yeah, this is a bit mystery to me. So, okay, b4 and b6 I understand. So white plays b4 to threaten to play knight c5, make an outpost, and black plays b6 and says this is not going to happen. But the question is why black didn't consider knight c7? Because knight c7, bishop e6, you want to land the knight on d5. Maybe there were some problems with queen b3.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. Angelica, look at it. I found something. Knight e5, because otherwise bishop e6 drops the pawn.
Absolutely.
Knight e5, takes. How are your tactical skills?
Knight f6.
No, not knight.
Oh, wait a second. Ah, yeah, queen d5 and then knight f6. Yeah,
Queen
yeah.
d5, knight
Oh my
f6,
God.
takes, and check.
Very beautiful.
That's nice. I
It's
think
very nice, yeah.
this was the idea of Vincent. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure he would have played knight c7, knight c7 and bishop e6. So that's why, once again, they're the best players in the world. They are not only thinking about their ideas, they're thinking about what my opponent most likely will respond to my move, after my move, and my move, his move, my move. So it's a lot of deep
Moves.
thinking.
Absolutely, and also I think in position it's very important is bishop on h6 and the potential idea of black playing g5, stopping, like basically isolating the bishop there and trying to win it. But white will always have to find something like h4 or f4 to be played.
And also find a piece to attack this bishop in the first place.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, you can't.
It's not so easy.
You can't get the queen on g6. But d5 makes perfect sense because if we go back to the starting position here, white has a pawn majority at queenside. So it only makes sense that you want to organize a pawn majority at some point, giving you a chance to establish a pass pawn. And this is what Yangyi is doing. He plays d5. Okay, we trade the pawns, but now I have 3 pawns against 2 at the queen side.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we have some missed opportunity for some reason. Bishop b3.
I'm not entirely sure where is this missed opportunity. I don't see. Looks normal to me. Bishop b3, I approve. Queen c4, trade it, f5, bishop f6. I think that black is doing fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, we have some result already. Amin draw against Jules Moussard. So we have 3 games ongoing right now.
Are they still
Not anymore, yes. We are a little bit frozen now, not anymore. We are back on the track.
We're back on the track. All right, let's select another game.
Okay, so we had this one draw. We have now the ongoing Arjun Erigaisi against Li Liam.
Let's do that.
Interesting position. There is a fork on f7. There is a fork, so...
There's a fork, but it seems it gives... I mean, black already is a pawn up, and that probably gives black some sort of a compensation for the sacrifice. Was it the sacrifice exchange? Let's check it out. What happened here?
Yeah, let's go maybe a few moves back, or from the beginning. Let's see what happened. So
London.
we had London. Okay.
You know, speaking about the London, I think there's one person we have to thank for bringing London to the sunlight, and that is the former world champion, Magnus Carlsen, because he was the one who brought it at the highest level. And he would play it. His reasoning was that it avoids all kinds of theory. There's no forced lines, and that's why Magnus will be playing the London, because I mean, you can just outplay your opponent based on simple structures. You have an easy game. Engines even support you. And then I heard it recently, Magnus complaining that you can't even play London anymore, right? Because it's already been analyzed so much to all kinds of forced draws, and he was pretty unhappy about it. Anyway, this is a rapid game. Arjun is feeling pretty happy to play it, at least in this game.
Yeah, for sure. So we have knight BD2. So we have the trade. Okay, everything looks so far the way it is. So bishop B5, the idea to play at some moment knight E5, and here C4.
C4, that is really aggressive. Okay,
Very
let's
aggressive.
just fast forward. Fast forward, otherwise
We have another isolated pawn structure position.
Queen B4.
And we have another idea to stop the king from castling.
Yeah, we had Diac play Queen
Yes.
A6, stopping white castling. Navara's king to castle short, and here we have Queen B4 stopping like Wang Liem's.
The same idea.
Yeah, I built a castle.
Okay, castle.
Long castle, very brave decision.
Indeed, very brave decision. Short castles. It feels like, for at least for time being, that white's king is safer, but ooh, what is?
It's winning an exchange. So I'm not sure if this was intentional or not. Maybe this was not forced, but the point is now Queen E8 is knight C6. So you see the queen on B3 spinning it, but the king.
I would not say it's intentional, because he would not play F6 knowing that knight can anyway jump there.
Maybe he had no choice, because let's look at this. For example, something like Queen E8. I play knight E5. How do you stop this? Maybe King A8. Well, maybe you're right. But okay, we have no time to look at this because the game is approaching time travel.
Exactly. So let's quickly go forward.
That's an exchange.
That's what it looks like. And he's not even rushing to take. How many moves have been played since the knight is there?
Right, so knight F7, he's not rushing because that's a trick. You know, it's a trick to win time, because if you like take an H8 or D8 immediately, then you win the exchange. But maybe black, let's say, spends rook F8. Yeah, he spends time to play rook F8. And now after knight E8, rook D8, you have one attempt for rook E1. This is a known trick. Winning the exchange is not going to go anywhere. So G5,
Absolutely.
H4, knight H2, knight F1. Okay,
And now
he finally took it. He felt, okay, he has to do this.
he felt enough is enough, and once he did everything what he wanted, he took the rook, bringing the other one to H8 very, very passively. A5. Oh my God. Okay, so still there is no entry square for the rook, but the question is.
The question is if black has a full compensation for the sacrificed exchange for a pawn. I'm pretty sure engine says white is better. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I know how engines think. But let me check it. Yeah, much better.
Much
okay,
better,
engine says much better for white. But I would not be so sure, because it's a minimal material advantage. It's exchange for a pawn. So I do believe that exchange for a pawn, that is half a pawn, because I come from the circles where bishop is believed to be 3.5. 3.5, not 3, because bishops in open positions, they are slightly better. Combined with a pawn, that's 4.5 versus the rook, which is 5, that's half a pawn. And that's why other factors are coming into play, like king safety, like space advantage, like weaknesses, center, etc. But also there's one thing which computer doesn't understand, and that is the easiness to play the position, which is, you can't explain this to the computer, because he just is not coded to think like that. But humans are not coded, but they are thinking like that. And I'm not so sure this position is also so easy to play for white, because he has black has a potential to organize a pawn majority at the queen side. And if that happens, if the pawn on b3 falls, because this bishop is in the color of this pawn, then black can organize two connected pass pawns. I mean, that being said, it's still light years away, but it's not very clear.
Yeah, for sure. It's not clear, but okay, white rook committed to going to the king side actually and trying to pin the black's rook to protection of the h7. But meanwhile, also rook itself, it's also pinning itself over there. I'm not so sure. Will the rook be okay there? I'm not so sure. Maybe rook h6 could be an idea, attacking the pawns on f6, e6. I'm not so sure if the rook will get out of there. Okay, there is a potential to play something like d5 and then maybe rook can get out of there. But I don't know. I mean, it looks very tricky. I mean, rook h6, bishop g6. I don't know what is rook doing there.
On h5?
Yeah.
Yeah, rook
It doesn't
c8.
have any so many squares. Yeah, rook c8 because bishop is protecting the pawn on h7. Do we want to play d5?
But the pawn on g4 is also under attack, by the way. You can take it.
Yeah, but the rook doesn't have many squares. That's
Okay,
a
now that the
problem,
more
yeah.
I look at this position, I think that white is definitely a lot better. But it's not so obvious when you look at it from the first side. By the way, Chess.com's board says Arjun Erigaisi is here playing 99.1% accuracy. It's like almost 100%, and he took away 0.9 for some minor detail which doesn't really matter.
Absolutely. Yeah, so
Alright.
he took on g4, rook c3. Maybe meanwhile we go
Yeah,
to
let's
check
go to another
other
board.
board.
Because the cam is frozen here.
Let's maybe go check out Navara against Diac. We haven't checked them for quite some time. It's a board
Right.
number 3.
Board number 3.
We have them. So this camera is walking there. David is watching somewhere away, not at the board. Something is this a psychological trick? What is he trying to do?
He's just frozen.
Oh my God.
He's not looking down, like he's just frozen. All right, but at least we have the...
Oh my God, look at the time. Diac is again in his time trouble, like under 10 seconds.
But this is literally happening every round.
This is literally happening every single game he's playing here.
It's
Yesterday he also had a lot
like,
of...
oh my goodness, Diac again has 8 seconds. It's like the last round, the second round, and the first round in the Chess 960 tournament. He really loves this adrenaline rush, which he gets from the time trouble. But it seems we have all the cams
frozen. But I think, it will come to a moment where we are going to say, when he's going to have more than his opponent time or enough time, we'll say, oh my God, Diac has enough time for the game. He's not down on the seconds. So, yeah, I don't know. So now we can see David Navara is taking time to think and what is this position? So we have g5 just played, trying to fix the pawns on the king side. And yeah, we maybe are frozen.
No, we
at
are
the
not
same
frozen. I
time.
think we're not frozen.
No.
Are we?
Frozen.
Yeah. Doesn't look like we are.
It looks it's frozen. But okay. Hopefully you can hear us.
Can anybody confirm? Can you hear us and see us? Working again. We are working.
Working again, yes. Trying.
Stream is working. Okay, good.
Okay. Right, we are back.
So speaking about this game of Navara against Diac, at least the board is working. Diac is suffering. I'm not sure if this position is good enough for white to win. The knight on d4 is beautiful. The bishop on d3 is beautiful. But I think okay, now it's back. It's safe to say that Navara has achieved something. Because not only he has established himself a beautiful blockade on d4, he has also this weakness on b5. So according to some ancient knowledge by Aaron Nincevich, the Great Dane, from basically the very beginning of the 20th century, he would postulate something which would become a widespread knowledge, is in order to your opponent make him to capitulate and he has one weakness, what do you need to do? You need to have a second weakness. You need to create a second weakness. This is the weakness number 1. This is weakness number 2. And
And-
as my good friend Igor Kovlek would say, sometimes your opponent is already the second weakness, and it's enough, right?
Yeah.
But
Also,
That's it.
potentially there could be a weakness on f6 or h6. It depends how the game will go on. I mean, for sure, Black will, for some time, still have this h5 break if they want it. But yeah, meanwhile, we
just refresh.
refreshing, just making sure that we are up to date with the game. It looks like we are.
Yep,
And it
everything is
looks
good.
like position is also looking the same. We see that David is trying to take another glance into the position, thinking, gathering his thoughts, and yeah, I mean, it's not so. And he's playing move. He played King C3, I believe, and yeah, here we have.
C3, bishop d7. Black has nothing to do but wait. I'm not really sure even if the knight trade suits black, because then white gets the access to king d4. If this knight goes away, then black is going to play knight c6 and make sure this king is not landing on d4. So these kinds of positions you can basically play over and over and over and over. And that's why that makes it a very effective strategy. Even if the position is not winning by force, you can just, make it in circles, make your opponent suffer in the time trouble, and then at some point you're going to defend it once, twice, 5 times, 10 times, 20 most, etc. You're going to slip, just because your position is so uncomfortable. So it really takes a great player usually to hold these positions, uncomfortable, unpleasant positions in time trouble.
For sure, and also being like 10 seconds on the. I'm just curious if we could put for him some, this pulse meter or something, how high his pulse is right now. Because if I see at him on the camera, he's making the move so calmly. I cannot believe it. I cannot understand how he could do. If I would play myself under 10 seconds, I would be so worried. I would probably lose on time. But here we have. That's why they are the top players. They have to manage to play in all kinds of circumstances.
Actually, it just reminds me, you're speaking about these moves calmly being made. There's one player in particular which jumps to my mind. Maybe you don't know him really so well. He's a Polish Grandmaster Mateusz Bartel. And he is, at least in the professional circuit, widely known as a very sharp player. He always goes these crazy attacks, sacrifices, and there's a complete mess over the board. He always looks so calm. Just quietly makes these moves, because you would expect that when you're making these very sharp, exciting moves, you're feeling some adrenaline. Just quietly, like nothing happened. He's very composed. So. Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. And speaking about the time, there was one of the questions from the chat to actually the commentators to us, what is our favorite time control? And there was a question, is it favorite time control to commentate on or to play? And the question was to play. So what is your favorite time control to play? What
My
would you say?
favorite action is to commentate.
Not to play.
At least right now. But speaking seriously about the favorite time control, I don't know, I guess something accelerated. Rapid, I think.
Rapid.
Blitz, perhaps not anymore, but I used to love Blitz, but Rapid, yeah, I think I love it, because I get to play a lot of exciting games in a very short time frame.
Yeah, I also love Rapid as well, but somehow I still always lean to the classical. I don't know, I just need more time to think. Okay. So
Question is,
we have actually all other games finished.
yeah, can you please
We
tell the
have
results?
the Arjun Erigaisi, who won against Lekwan Liam. We have the draw against Amin Bassam and Jules Moussard. And we have the draw as well, Yangyi against Vincent Keymer. So we have 2 draws and 1 decisive result. Maybe this game is also leaning towards a draw, but David Navara is just trying everything. He's actually very low on time now, right now, as well as
And
Bogdan
Navara has
Daniel.
frozen the camera. He was sitting so still that he managed to freeze it.
Oh no. Okay. So while we are trying to unfreeze him, let's see what is happening. Actually, h5 was pushed, trying to eliminate the pawns on the queen-king side to make more exchanges, to let white have less weaknesses to attack. And d4.
If that works, that's a brilliant idea. No, Adrian says it's not a brilliant idea, but I like it. So essentially, how long can you play this very passive position, right? So you want to trade some pawns. And his idea is to trade this pawn for the pawn on f4. e4, was this the move he missed? No, this is actually a miss by Navara. G takes on f4, white temporarily sacrifices a pawn. He wants to win the pawn on f6, which is going to give him suddenly some chances to organize at the king side.
Oh my God! So there are indeed more chances because king is standing there on b6 and doing practically nothing but protecting the pawn on b5, and the white is getting some chances here, but both players are so low on time that I don't know if he's going to make it. I don't know, but he's trying. Okay, f3. So also a passer.
What Navara has done here, he has suddenly complicated the game out of nowhere, and he believes that his king is closer to these pawns, right? And that the black king can never leave the b5 square because this is what you need to protect. But I mean, I'm not so sure because look at suddenly the tables are, it feels like completely turned because black has incredible blockade on e5, very active bishop on f7. The weakness on b5 doesn't really matter. Now, black says, this is a weakness for you. I'm going to play now knight c6, and your knight can't leave because the pawn on b4 is dropping.
Oh my God, yeah, indeed it's getting more and more exciting, and now what white has to do is trying to activate the bishop because now knight cannot really move. And what is Diac doing? He's playing for a safety. Knight d7 is kind of a safe move. Bishop d4.
Yeah,
oh, he's grabbing the pawn.
So the tactic,
oh my God,
so
worked.
the strategy has paid off. It
has paid off, yes, because f3 pawn was too weak, unfortunately. And the king of black is just too far, e5. So pawns are just right now on g5 and b5 and in e5 in this situation.
Let's
oh my God.
See if we can have another camera. I'm not sure
maybe
if this camera is right.
This is working, yeah.
No, it's not working because they're no longer sitting there.
No, this is working.
At least we can see from this angle that they're there. They're playing, which we already kind of know.
Okay, so king d7 was played, trying to bring the king to the action, to those pawns, trying to stop the g and e pawn from running. I mean, so far e pawn doesn't run anywhere, but there is always some chance. I mean, I would say that still it's around equal, right? Because there is always a counterplay for black. There will be always some knight jump attacking the pawn on b4.
And we are back. We again see the feed from the game. King d7. No, he is nervous. You said he is very calm. I'm not so sure. He looks very calm right now because the clock is ticking. He managed to force some matters here.
Very, very fast. They're playing very fast, and we don't see the moves. We see that actually g pawn is gone, and we have knight against the bishop in this position, and white has an e pawn on e5. We can maybe zoom in the board. The knight came to b3, king d4. Navara is trying to push for a win. Bishop c4, knight jumps around.
Is there a pawn on b4?
Yes, there is a pawn on b4 and pawn on b5. Yes, yes. And pawn on e5.
But then that makes an easy draw because I don't think that unless the pawn on e5.
Yes, pawn on e5. That's why he's pushing. Bishop b6. Knight jumps around. King is isolated over there on f4. Basically, white is cutting the king from there, which brings even more chances for white.
And I think it froze again.
Oh. No, it's not frozen.
Oh,
no, the time is running.
Here's lines.
Here is lines. Oh my God.
David Navara scores a very important victory, which is, again, adding more points to his tally because he had so far 5 points out of 6.
Yeah, and knowing that we have only one person with 100% result playing a draw in this round, David Navara has just catched Yangyi, and we have 2 leaders in this round, so we can check the result of the round and the standings.
So here are the results. Arjun Erigaisi beat Wang Liyem with the white color. Amin Bassem shared a point together with Jules Moussard. David Navara, as you just saw, unfortunately, we could not really get the feed, but at least you saw it. We zoomed in what was happening there. The final moves, he beat Daniel Diac. This better endgame, he managed to capitalize on it. And Yangyi, as you already said, Angelica played a draw against Vincent Keymer.
Absolutely, and here are the standings. We have David Navara joining the leadership right now together with Yangyi. They are having 7 points, so it means that they won 3 games and played 1 draw. On the third place is Bassem Amin together with Vincent Keymer. They have 5 points. Lekwang Liam has 3 points. Arjun Erigaisi trying to catch up with 2 points together with Jules Moussard. And we have Bogdan Daniel Diac on the last place with 1 point.
And I think it's a good idea to check what's going to happen in the next round. This was round number 4. Give me a moment. Let me try.
Yeah, and here we have the pairings. We were going to see Lekwang Liam facing Yangyi. Just recall that blunder which was happening yesterday when Lekwang Liam blundered and mate in 1 against Yangyi in chess 960. Vincent Keymer against David Navara. Bogdan Daniel Diac against Bassem Amin. Jules Moussard against Arjun Erigaisi.
Right. On these games, there are I think now we have a longer break, right? If I'm not terribly mistaken.
I don't think we have the long anymore.
No, but we do, because I see the starting time of the round is 16:50. I'm not really sure, but I think that we are going to make a break either way. Let's make it at least 5 minutes. And see what happens. We reserve the right always to extend the break, but either way, you're going to see it on the big screen when the players are coming back to the boards, because we have this very nice view of the entire playing hall. All right, and hope you're enjoying it so far. We are, right? We are not only commentators, we're also chess fans. We like to see these amazing players in action, and I think it's pretty fair to say, Angelica, that these games haven't disappointed us, and we have to thank a lot for the tournament organizers for finding the right players to invite, finding players who are not making the so-called infamous short Grandmaster draws, but they are here to make also you exciting time to watch them. And let's make a short break and see you in a bit. Welcome back, dear viewers, chess fans. We are back from Swiss city of Biel, where is being held the 56th International Chess Festival. Your host, Angelika Volkova. I'm Grandmaster of Donations. We're following the action of day 2 of the festival, the GMT Rapid Tournament, and round 5 has already started, Angelika.
So let's jump in and see what is happening there in the games. We can see already quite a few moves made.
Yeah, so I'll select the top board.
So we have so far 2 leaders. We have 2 leaders with 7 points. Why 7 points? Because 2 points are given for the victory and 1 point for the draw. We have Yangyi and Navara with 7 points. And following them, we have Amin and Vincent Keymer with 5 points.
Now you can always, of course, see the rankings in case it's not very clear at the moment who is leading the tournament. And we have, again, Queen's Indian defense chosen by Yangyi. He already played it before. You might remember it a couple of rounds ago against the Romanian Grandmaster Diac. He played the same. So if we go back once again, step by step,
Move by move, step by step.
Move by move, step by step. This time we are not going to explain all the details because remember, Diac played B3.
Yeah, B3 exactly.
B3, right?
And C5.
Then in the time trouble, he lost the game. So knight c3 is the more classical way here to play. White is thinking about fighting for d4 square. Knight e4, the classical continuation. Bishop d2, and knight takes on d2. I'm surprised, to be honest. I don't really understand because, as far as I know, so knight e4 is a very common move, and knight e4, bishop e4, it gives nothing to white because it's difficult to get rid of this bishop here from e4. And if you trade it, something like knight e1 takes, then something like d5 or even d6 gives black a satisfactory game. But what I'm really surprised, that black didn't include another move here. Maybe the reason is that after d6, Yangyi doesn't like the line of bishop e1. And bishop e1 had a surge of popularity, something like, okay, I don't remember how many years ago, something like 3-4 years ago, bishop e1 was the big thing. And white was keeping the bishop alive so that you can't take on d2, and then he wants to play queen c2, forcing to take on c3, bishop c3, and eventually, if everything is correct, plays e4. But black would even play knight c3, bishop c3, and bishop e4 anyway, stopping this queen c2 from happening. And then I remember I even had played some games myself with queen a4, rook d1, rook c1, and engines would give white some advantage. But what it makes it interesting is that Yangyi immediately takes on d2. He is not allowing white to play bishop e1, which is a slight surprise to me, but I guess it's also a playable line.
Yeah, it felt like knight on e4 was a pretty nice piece. I don't know why would you want to immediately trade it, but okay, of course he has ideas in mind, and as you can see, he's having a good time usage right now, so he knows where he is right now, he knows the position, he knows the plan you want to follow, and he plays a6, so I guess we're going to see some c5 break at some moment.
So c5, maybe. What I was about to say is that perhaps black can reach this, what this was called, I'm trying to remember, hippopotamus.
Actually.
Hippopotamus setup. Actually, it's pretty serious,
Oh my God, yes.
If you get the hippopotamus position, I mean, g6, it sort of reminds like a hippopotamus. That's why it's named after this animal. So you want to position the bishop on g7, and in a classical sense, hippopotamus position would be where you have either the knight on e7 or the knight on f6. And this bishop on g7 gives black a cramped position, but its reputation in actually the time control games is that it's not so easy for white to prove the advantage. And what makes it different here with the classical hippopotamus is that the knight has been traded for the Daxwa bishop. So I would imagine that Yangyi definitely wants to play something like g6, bishop f6, and bishop g7. But as soon as black plays g6, almost